Hi, welcome to our farm. I figured the best way to end this little mini series is on the farm because I'm talking about sowing and reaping. So that's what farmers do. We sow seed and we reap a harvest. And that is a spiritual correlation to how we reap our harvest, whether it is money, it's a healing, it's a car, it's a house. Whatever you sow seed for, you shall reap if you faint not. So that's Galatians 6. We'll go over there. There's so much on this topic, and I've listened to so much to try to get a packed down little session. So, I mean, you can take what I say, but definitely do your own research. I can give you links and sources, but there's so much to this. It was really hard to pin down, but Galatians 6. Verse 9, and let us not lose heart and grow weary and faint in acting nobly and doing right, for in due time, at the appointed season, we shall reap if we do not loosen and relax our courage and faint. So then, as occasion and opportunity open up to us, let us do good morally to all people, not only being useful or profitable to them, but also doing what is for their spiritual good and advantage. Be mindful to be a blessing, especially to those of the household of faith, those who belong to God's family with you, the believers. So that's what I'm talking about, funding this gospel. That's why money is important. It's not necessarily for selfish gain. It's okay to have nice things. Absolutely. We've already discussed that. But to fund this gospel, that's why money and prosperity and abundance and overflow, it's part of the blessing. It's part of our covenant, and we've got to take hold of it. So when you sow a seed, name that seed. I forgot my soybean. Oh, shoot. If you haven't seen a soybean, it's very tiny. Or a kernel of corn. You sow that. And what happens? During the process, have you ever seen an ear of corn? Because I'm sure you have. Whether it's field corn or sweet corn that you eat. There's so many kernels on it. And it just took one seed. And that's how it's supposed to be. You have an offering. Maybe you only have $1 to give. The woman with the 2 mites, that was her offering. And what happened? She was abundantly blessed. And if you take that dollar and you sow it and you say, I want my bills paid off for the remainder of the year. Sow that seed. And over time, as you're praying, as you're rejoicing, that is multiplying. And your bills will be paid off, I can guarantee that. So it doesn't matter if it is money, because I've sown a car, I've sown my bed, I've sown a lot of things, and I have been abundantly blessed. Miracle after miracle, finances. I know we had a couple from our church move. They felt the Lord lead them to go to another city, and it was more expensive. And so I felt impressed to sow seed to them and pay for their first month's rent, which was double mine. And I'm already kind of struggling a little bit, but they were blessed. They were able to save some more money during that time. And when I was in trouble during that season where I was having trouble getting income, my rent was paid. It was just things like that. So what you sow for, believe that you'll receive that. And maybe there's seed in the ground from years past. Believe it. Believe that you'll reap it. And naming your seed is most important, because I was listening to Brother Jesse, and he was saying that if you just scatter seed, it's not going into the ground and the birds are going to eat it. But when you name that seed, you plant it, and you plant it in good ground. And you'll watch it grow, because it has a purpose now. When you just scatter something, it's thoughtlessness. It's just like, oh, whatever. But when you plant the seed, there's a purpose, because there's intent for it to grow and multiply. And that's how it is with finances or whatever you're believing for. For those who are having trouble getting pregnant, men, believe in your seed. Women, believe that you have a fertile womb. And when those two meet, it has been planted and it will grow. Believe for that. And then during the process, get the baby room ready. Pick out colors. Maybe do this even beforehand, before you even have a pregnancy test. Get ready, because when you're not prepared, then what happens? You fail. Like when the military, if they're not ready and they don't have a plan, they're going to get attacked. So get the room ready, sow seed, host a baby shower. I've heard many testimonies of this where they sowed their time and their money hosting a baby shower, and then they got their own room ready. And it may have been a couple months, a couple years, but they had a baby, and a baby girl, exactly what they wanted. Hair color, eyes, everything. So it can be used for anything. Now the process of seed time. So I heard this week, and I was really blessed by it. So it's Hebrews 4. We're going to read it in Amplified Classic first. We'll go down to verse 3. And he said, although his works have been completed and prepared and waiting for all who would believe from the foundation of the world. So when you backtrack, he's talking about the Israelites. Everything was prepared. Everything was ready for them to enter in the promised land. But they doubted, they complained, they had issues, and they forfeited. And that's in the next verse, verse 5. And they forfeited their part in it. So how many times, and going back to Galatians, what we read in the beginning, do not faint and grow weary. There is time. There are aspects of time, but you have to get past that religious mindset that God's in control, God's sovereign, he'll do whatever he wants to do. He's already done it, number one. Number two, we're in control. If God was in control, we wouldn't be here. Adam and Eve would have never failed. We'd all be in heaven right now. There would be no sin. There would be no other religions, murder, nothing. So get that out of your head. And in the process of this, let me read it in the Passion. We'll read the whole thing. Now God has offered to us the same promise of entering into his realm of resting and confident faith. So we must be extremely careful to ensure that we all embrace the fullness of that promise and not fail to experience it. For we have heard the good news of deliverance just as they did, yet they didn't join their faith with the word. Instead, what they heard didn't affect them deeply, for they doubted. For those of us who believe, faith activates the promise, and we experience the realm of confident rest. For he said, I was grieved with them and made a solemn oath. They will never enter into the calming rest of my spirit. Sorry, page turn. God's works have all been completed from the foundation of the world. It's already a done deal, guys. It's already a done deal. You just have to tap into that. You have to believe that when it said faith activates, that's an activation. When you're struggling with something, let's say there are the finances. We're just going to stick with finances. I'm believing to be debt-free. I'm believing bills are paid. Whatever you're specifically praying for, you sow that seed. That's an activation of your faith, because that took faith to use that money that you could use for something else to put in the offering. Faith is activated. Now in the process, this is when you have an expectation. I will reap. Us farmers, we have an expectation. When we put something in the ground, we expect it to grow. We expect it to multiply. And if we don't have that expectation, we just let it go. If we don't fertilize it, if we're not believing for rain, if we've not had enough rain, which we can't plant right now, but in that time, we've got to do our part. We've got to keep it active. We've got to keep it growing and staying fertilized. And spiritually, we got to water it with the word. We've got to speak to it. We've got to keep calling it forth. We've got to keep the weeds out. If you are in unforgiveness, if you are in bitterness, if you are in strife, if you have grudges, if you are doubting is a weed. If you sow it and you're just like, maybe I'll get it, it's hard to say, you won't get it. just forget it. You dug up your seed. Doubt will dig up your seed. So keep it watered, keep it growing, keep it nurtured. If you're not farmers, you're gardeners. You're digging the weeds out. You're pulling the weeds out. You're on your hands and your knees, crawling around, putting up fences to guard it. Guard your hearts. Guard your heart with the word. And rejoice. Rejoice always. This is something I'm working on, that in the process to keep my joy, to maintain joy. There's some things I've been believing for a long time, and it starts to, you compromise, you kind of give up, but it's not the time to give up. It's not the time to settle. So whatever you've been believing for, sow that seed and believe that you'll reap it. And it is a spiritual law to reap, sowing and reaping. If we are not reaping, we are not abiding by the law. We've got to have fruit. It can even be in missions. You're sowing your time. You're putting your life on the line. I'm reading a book about martyrs right now, a God's Generals series, and they put their life on the line to help. Like medical aid workers died. They were beheaded, shot, just serving. There's, reaping souls. I know that sounds kind of like Grim Reaper stuff, but Jesus, he was our seed. The Lord gave him to us, and he produced, and now we're reaping souls. We're reaping souls for the kingdom. But it's not just regarding that. It can be anything that you're believing for. Anything is possible if you'll believe it. Anything is possible. The Lord's hand is not waxed short. He is able to do all things. And so I heard this is what got me, is that you can reap a harvest from your ancestors. If it's still in the ground, it's all yours. It's for the taking. So I'm taking it. I'm absolutely taking it. I don't know really how many, because I know my mother's side was pretty jacked up. I don't know if they really, they weren't churchgoers. My dad's side, it was kind of hit and miss. But if they sowed any seed, I'm taking it. I'm taking it if they did not harvest it. I'm taking it for me. I'm taking it for my family. I have so much on my heart to do for this kingdom. I have so much like $1 billion projects in my mind that I want to fund and give to. And I'm going to reap it. I'm going to reap my own seed. The seeds that I've been thoughtfulness, just casting it aside, that I didn't name it or I gave up on it. It's not time to do that. So I'm getting back on the horse. I've already commanded my angels, harvesting angels, go get my harvest. Satan, get your hands off my money. All you cohorts, you better knock it off. I prayed it, I sowed, and I'm going to reap. I'm going to reap. And so I thank you for watching these videos. Thank you for your support. You are so good, being faithful and watching, and we will reap together. I'm with you. I'm standing with you. Just trust God. Don't give up and reap your harvest.